They moved into the apartment thinking it was a temporary solution. A cheap place, top floor, old building, quiet neighborhood. It was just Daniel and his girlfriend, Claire, living in a third-floor unit of a narrow brick apartment building that had been standing since the early 1900s. The landlord told them no one lived above them. The ceiling was supposed to be solid, just beams and insulation separating them from the roof. That detail would become important later. The first night they heard it, they didn't think much of it. Daniel was on the couch scrolling through his phone while Claire washed dishes in the kitchen. It was late, around 11 p.m., and the building was unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that makes even normal sounds feel louder. That's when they heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. They came from directly above the living room ceiling. Claire turned off the sink. Daniel muted the TV. They listened. The footsteps continued, pacing from one end of the ceiling to the other. Not creaking, not settling, not pipes. Footsteps. Claire asked if maybe the landlord had someone working on the roof. Daniel shrugged and said maybe it was an animal, but neither of them really believed that. The steps stopped after about a minute and the silence returned. They tried to forget it. The next night it happened again. This time it started closer, right above their bedroom. The sound wasn't random. Whoever or whatever, it was moved with purpose. Heel to toe, back and forth, slow enough to count the steps. Claire whispered that she felt like they were being listened to. Daniel laughed it off, but his voice didn't sound confident. He emailed the landlord the next morning. The response was quick and dismissive. There's no one above you, probably temperature shifts or old beams expanding. That explanation didn't sit right with either of them. Old beams don't pace. By the fourth night, the footsteps came every evening. Same time, around 11 p.m. They would begin above the living room, move toward the bedroom, pause, then slowly retrace their steps. Claire started sleeping with earbuds in. Daniel started staying up later, listening. On the sixth night, something changed. Instead of pacing, the footsteps stopped directly above their bed. They didn't move, they just stood there. Daniel stared at the ceiling, counting seconds. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 5. Claire whispered his name, asking if he felt it too. That pressure, like weight, like someone standing still directly over them. Then the sound shifted. A faint scraping noise followed, slow and shallow, like fingers brushing along wood. Claire broke down crying. Daniel jumped out of bed and banged on the ceiling with a broom handle, shouting for whoever it was to leave. The scraping stopped immediately. The footsteps retreated. They didn't hear anything else that night. The next morning, Daniel went to the landlord in person. The man looked uncomfortable this time, avoidant. He admitted the building used to have attic crawl spaces connecting several units. He said they were sealed decades ago. Daniel asked if anyone could still access them. The landlord said no, then paused, then said, not legally. That was enough for Daniel. They decided to leave for the weekend and stay with Claire's sister. When they returned 2 days later, the apartment felt wrong, colder, stale. The air smelled faintly of dust and sweat. The footsteps started that same night, but now they were faster, more erratic, running, pacing hard from wall to wall like something agitated. Daniel grabbed a flashlight and a chair and climbed up to inspect the ceiling vent in the hallway. He removed the cover, shined the light inside. At first, he saw nothing but darkness and insulation. Then the beam caught something that made his stomach drop. A footprint pressed deep into the insulation, barefoot, human, and not old. The next footprint followed, and another, leading away from the vent. They called the police. The officers searched the apartment, then the roof access. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No squates. They suggested it might be stress or imagination. Claire laughed hysterically when they left. The footsteps came back the next night, but this time they weren't above the ceiling. They were closer, directly above the hallway vent, right where Daniel had looked. Slow, measured, stopping, then a soft thud. Dust drifted down through the vent onto the floor. Then came a whisper, so quiet it almost blended into the hum of the apartment. Not words, just breathing, right above them. Daniel and Claire ran out of the apartment barefoot, calling 911 again. This time, the police came with the fire department. They broke open the ceiling. What they found made everyone step back. The crawl space was larger than expected, wide enough to move through, lined with makeshift bedding, empty food wrappers, a water bottle, and dozens of scratch marks carved into the wood. The officer found something else tucked into the insulation. A small notebook. Inside were dates, times, notes, descriptions of the apartment, of Daniel, of Claire, what time they slept, what time they argued, what time the lights went off. On the last page, written shakily, "They know I'm here now." The landlord later admitted someone had gone missing in the building years earlier. A maintenance worker. They never found his body. Daniel and Claire moved out the next day. The apartment was sealed, condemned. But months later, a new tenant moved into the unit below, and 2 weeks after that, they filed filed a noise complaint about footsteps coming from above their ceiling, where no one was supposed to be.